Welcome to part one of the CSDE Needs Assessment Toolkit, Gather Evidence. This toolkit is designed to guide districts and schools through the process of deeply examining evidence to determine the priority concerns, understand the contributing factors, and uncover root causes in order to create an action plan as a part of a continuous cycle for improvement. The use of this toolkit can help your team align the work to the needs of your community and leverage the strengths of your organization in order to support equitable outcomes for students.
In this video, we will look more closely at Step 1, Gather Evidence. Gathering evidence is foundational to determining challenges, understanding root causes, and aligning resources to successfully improve outcomes for students. For the purposes of this toolkit, evidence is defined as the quantitative and qualitative data collected about students, staff, families, perceptions, teaching and learning, and the processes that impact outcomes. The former chief executive officer at Hewlett Packard, Carly Fiorina, said, "The goal is to turn data into information and information into insight. If the data or the evidence is incomplete or narrow, the information will be incomplete and the insights will be limited. Gathering evidence is critical to insights that lead to actions that impact outcomes."
In this video, we will identify sources of evidence that will give insights into strengths and challenges that face an educational community. We will dive into the importance of disaggregating data to understand the impact on groups within the learning community. Finally, we will consider how modeling data develops a deeper understanding of the evidence.
The best place to find evidence is using the sources of data and evidence at hand. Even though there is a wealth of data collected, often schools and districts focus on limited measures to understand the successes and the challenges for students in the schools. The toolkit contains a chart, sources of evidence, to guide your team in expanding the gathered evidence beyond student performance data. Let's begin by looking at the data gathered about students.
Schools collect demographic data such as enrollment, attendance, race and ethnicity, gender data, grade level and discipline data, just to name a few. Schools also have teaching and learning data, benchmark assessments, state assessments, district school performance data, and credits towards graduation are some examples of teaching and learning data. Schools collect perception data such as surveys, evidence collected in focus groups, value and belief statements, and observational data. Fourth and final category of data is process data. Process data is data about the processes and programs of the school. For example, listings of academic initiatives, climate and culture initiatives, available tools, and initiative inventories are all processes with available qualitative and quantitative data that can be gathered to understand what is happening within the learning community.
Learning communities are made up of more than students, and it's important to gather evidence about all members of the community. Staff data should be gathered in all four categories as well. Some examples of staff data and evidence that might be collected include staff attendance, staff retention, evaluation data, instructional observation data, staff focus groups, and the professional learning calendar with opportunities for staff learning. Data and evidence about families are also available to schools. Demographic, perception, and process evidence can be collected. The school may partner with community resources and agencies to gather additional evidence on family and community demographics or process data such as family and community events. Focus groups with families and community partners can bring valuable evidence about perceptions within the community.
As we said, the toolkit includes a chart called Sources of Evidence with many examples that may be available to your school for students, staff, and families in the four categories of data. There is no expectation that you will review all of these sources of data, but we do encourage you to consider the needs and concerns of your school or district and not only look at the student data, but also for the staff and the family. There is power in reviewing evidence from four sources of data and considering their impact on the outcomes for the students.
The chart, a cross-section of data leads to the most valuable evidence, highlights how the collection of data is like a mosaic. Discretely, each piece of evidence doesn't paint the full picture. When you put multiple pieces of evidence and data together, they create a masterpiece of understanding about what is happening in your educational setting. For example, when bringing together perception data through a student survey with teaching and learning data through the ELA benchmarks, and process data of examining the new reading program for the number of stories that reflect the diversity of the students in your school, new correlations may become evident. Or if you bring demographic data of attendance together with the teaching and learning data of the Smarter Balanced Growth Percentage in math and participation data for a technology initiative that gives students access to missed learning through a grade level math program, the success of the technology program to support absent students may be measured.
The most valuable evidence and data considers all four sources of data together, like a mosaic looking for correlation and patterns and painting a complete picture. The toolkit contains a chart to highlight how bringing together different types of data will help the team focus on the evidence for the most accurate picture.
As previously stated, schools collect lots of data. How we choose to examine the data impacts the information we learn and the insights we gain. Aggregated data is summarized data that is compiled, often at the school or district level. The data reported by EdSite is aggregated data. Even the category of students with needs is an aggregate summary of data for students with disabilities, English learners, and students that receive free or reduced price lunches due to socioeconomic status. In contrast, disaggregated data refers to the data that is broken down to component parts to better understand the impact upon groups within the learning community.
As stated in the previous slides, when we disaggregate across the different sources of data and about the different members of the community, new information can be found. Here are some examples of questions you might answer through the use of disaggregated data. How does staff attendance impact student learning? You might group teachers with an attendance rate below 93% and disaggregate the learning data of the students in these classes. Then, compared to the rest of the school data for the school data for the school. Does the data reveal that teacher absences impact student learning?
How has the learning of English learners been impacted by the implementation of the new literacy program? Is the rate of success as measured by meeting goal targets improved with the implementation of the new program?
How does the discipline referral of different student groups compare to one another and the school data?
How has the number of special ed teachers changed over the past 5 years relative to the numbers of students with disabilities? You may find the caseload has grown or decreased while the staffing resources have remained unchanged. How does this information align with the academic progress of the students with disabilities? Disaggregating data aids the team in considering the impact of school choices upon different student groups. Only when the evidence is looked at by student groups can the school confidently claim understanding the impact of instruction and decisions on equity within the school community.
Modeling data provides a visual for the team to examine and understand the evidence. It is said that a picture paints 1,000 words. Modeling the data helps the team understand the story of the organization and see the information. This information will lead the team to insights as they analyze the data in step 2. Using tools such as Excel or Google Sheets makes it easy to model the data in a variety of ways.
In this video, we learned more about gathering evidence. The toolkit suggests resources to assist the team in gathering evidence to develop a deeper understanding of the organization, the programs, the processes, and the impact on the members of the learning community. Once your team has gathered the data, see the video step 2, analyzing the evidence, to continue the process of gathering and analyzing evidence to understand a root cause and address the needs of the school with actions that will have impact.